her husband, want to sleep with her daughter. In this story, you will see when and where she caught her husband. Emily, a devoted mother in her mid-30s, had always tried to create a loving home for her daughter Mia and her husband Greg. After Emily's first marriage ended, she found Greg, who seemed like a kind, supportive man eager to be a father figure to 14-year-old Mia. For a while things seemed perfect, too perfect in hindsight. Recently, Emily had noticed a troubling change in Mia. The once vivacious teenager had become withdrawn, avoiding eye contact and spending hours locked in her room. She refused to participate in family dinners and grew visibly uncomfortable whenever Greg was around. When Emily asked her daughter what was wrong, Mia would simply shrug, offering vague responses about stress from school or needing time alone. Emily's concerns grew when she noticed Greg's behavior becoming more controlling. He started monitoring Mia's whereabouts and criticizing her for the smallest mistakes. One evening, when Emily walked into the living room, she saw Greg standing too close to Mia, his tone low and threatening as he chastised her for being disrespectful. Mia flinched, her eyes darting to her mother for help. Emily knew something was wrong, but she wasn't sure what. Determined to get to the bottom of it, she began paying closer attention, observing Greg's interactions with Mia and keeping an open ear for any clues. One evening, Emily returned home earlier than usual after a work meeting was cancelled. As she entered the house, she heard raised voices coming from upstairs. Quietly, she moved toward the sound, realizing it was coming from Mia's room. The door was slightly ajar, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Greg was standing over Mia, his face twisted in anger, while Mia backed away, her hands trembling. "If you tell anyone, there'll be consequences," Greg hissed. Tears streamed down Mia's face as she shook her head, too frightened to speak. Emily burst into the room, her voice shaking with fury. "What is going on here?" she demanded. Greg froze, his expression shifting from anger to feigned innocence. "Emily, this isn't what it looks like," he stammered, but Emily wasn't buying it. She pulled Mia behind her, shielding her daughter from Greg's presence. "Get out of this house, Greg. Now," she commanded. Greg tried to argue, but Emily was resolute. She threatened to call the police on the spot, and Greg reluctantly left, muttering under his breath. Emily hugged Mia tightly, reassuring her that she was safe and that they would never let Greg hurt her again. That night, Emily packed a few essentials and took Mia to a nearby women's shelter. The staff welcomed them warmly, offering a safe space where they could begin to heal. Emily filed for an emergency restraining order against Greg and started gathering evidence of his abusive behavior. She spoke to Mia gently, encouraging her to share her story at her own pace. Mia revealed that Greg had been emotionally and verbally abusive for months, often using his authority to intimidate her. Though she hesitated to share all the details, Emily didn't push. She reassured Mia that what happened was not her fault and that they would fight for justice together. At the shelter, Emily met other women who had faced similar struggles. Their stories gave her strength and a renewed sense of purpose. She contacted a lawyer who specialized in cases of domestic abuse and began preparing for a court battle to ensure Greg could never harm anyone again. The courtroom was tense as Mia, supported by her mother and their lawyer, recounted her experiences with Greg. Despite her young age, Mia showed remarkable courage, speaking clearly about the fear and manipulation she had endured. Emily watched her daughter with pride, her heart breaking for the pain Mia had faced but swelling with admiration for her bravery. Greg's lawyer tried to discredit Mia's testimony, but the evidence Emily had gathered, recordings of Greg's threats, testimonies from shelter staff, and Mia's own words painted a damning picture. The jury deliberated for only a short time before returning a guilty verdict. The judge sentenced Greg to a lengthy prison term, citing the gravity of his actions and the lasting harm he had caused. As he was led away in handcuffs, Emily and Mia felt a weight lift from their shoulders. Justice had been served. In the months that followed, Emily and Mia focused on rebuilding their lives. They attended therapy sessions together, learning how to process their trauma and communicate openly. Emily became an advocate for survivors of abuse, volunteering at the women's shelter and sharing her story to raise awareness. Mia slowly regained her confidence, rediscovering her love for art and joining a support group for teens who had experienced similar situations. With her mother's unwavering support, she began to heal, finding strength in her own resilience. Though their journey had been painful, Emily and Mia emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. Together they proved that no matter how dark the circumstances, courage and love could light the way forward. Moral of the story: abuse thrives in silence. Speak out and seek help because every survivor deserves justice and safety.